Hey everyone, Matt Johnson here again. This is the latest episode of Real Estate Uncensored. We are talking about how to break out of mediocrity, and I'm joined by my never mediocre friend, Greg McDaniel. What is up today?
What's going on, my friend? Hey, super pumped to be here. Right before we went on air, I got my delivery of my new obsession, which I'm going to show everybody. I got one watch here, got another watch there, and then got the watch that actually, since Matt and I are in different time zones, he's in the Midwest and I'm here, I'm always going, Matt, what time is it there? When are we doing this? He's like, dude, just set one of those three faces there to my time, therefore you can never screw that up again. I said, that's not a bad idea, dude.
I like to travel, so over the next 2 weeks I will be in the Central Time Zone, Eastern Time Zone, then Pacific, all within about 3 or 4 days. So just keep that watch on you at all times, and you'll always know what time it is for me, so you don't call me too late. All right. So before we jump into the, I'm going to cut you off right there before you have a chance to give me a smart-ass reply. So before we went on the air, I would just like to point out that Greg was very excited. He said he was ready to kick ass and take naps. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what that means.
Kick ass, take names.
Take names. Okay. That must just be me. Okay. Kick ass and take naps. That's probably the greatest motivational phrase ever. I'm going to get that, like, posterized and have a nice mountain in the background. Underneath it just says kick ass and take naps.
Yeah, kick ass and... Where were we?
All right. So while we wait for people to join us live, I'm going to talk to anybody that's watching this on the replay version. If you're still with us, do yourself a favor, subscribe on YouTube. That lets YouTube know that you want to see our future videos as well as any type of real estate coaching content. So you'll get stuff from other really good guys like Matthew Ferry and Brian Casella and all the other guys that are out there putting out helpful videos for real estate agents. So subscribe on YouTube. If you prefer the audio versions, head on over to iTunes or Stitcher and subscribe to Real Estate Uncensored on either of those platforms, depending on which handy-dandy device you might be holding. And then we want to give a quick shout out to a couple of sponsors, and first one is Viral Marketing, who cuts a check to make hangouts like these happen. Check them out at getviral.com. Greg is a client. It's funny, I don't know if you noticed, but Facebook reminded us that we have been Facebook friends for a year as of yesterday.
Yeah, that was a little creepy. Eileen and I are both looking at each other going, huh, that's weird.
I don't think I shared that. I think I left that in the background and did not share that publicly.
Just let that feed through and just
let it feed through. Exactly.
It happened.
And then the second sponsor I want to mention real quick, Prime Seller Leads. So if you want to move out of the buyer phase and start generating seller leads on Facebook or any other source like Google Pay-Per-Click, and you need a really good CRM and a back-end system that can keep in touch with them and actually help you close the leads, check them out, Prime Seller Leads. Just get in touch. If you're actually serious about signing up with them, get in touch with Greg. Shoot him an email at mcdaniel.44@gmail.com, and he can get you hooked up because they have a special deal for Real Estate Uncensored listeners. So
We do.
All right, with that said, let's get into it. We're going to talk about daily success habits. So this is one of my favorite topics. It's one of my favorite things to read about and incorporate into my life, as I'm sure, Greg, you also enjoy not so much reading. I would say listening to books on this topic is one of your favorite things to do. So you're a member of like Success Magazine, so you get their digital podcast and like the digital version of their magazine, right?
Yeah, I'm a member of Success, Fast Company, Entrepreneur magazines. I get these all the time.
Ty Lopez as well.
Yeah, Inc. What?
Ty Lopez, 67-day, whatever that book club thing is.
Yeah, 67-day program. Also a avid listener for Audible.com, which I'm at the tail end. I got 42 minutes left for the One Thing with Gary Keller right now. Jeffrey Gitmore is another one of my favorites. If you guys have never read any of stuff like the Little Red Book of Sales, I just finished Tony Robbins' Money. Grant Cardone's 10x. Starting with Why with Simon Sinek. These are just a few of my favorite books out there that really kind of get me going. Matt, you and I talked before. There's a few that you love as well that I've actually put on my reading list based upon what you've talked about.
Yeah, so over the past few months, I've read a really good book called Unbeatable Mind by Mark Divine. He's a former Navy SEAL, is based out of San Diego, and a lot of good stuff on meditation, mental discipline, protocols like the OODA, which is Orient, Observe, Decide, and Act, which is a military protocol for how they make decisions. A lot of really good stuff for developing a stronger stronger mind, stronger mental discipline.
Hmm.
And a couple of my favorite books of all time, they're not necessarily related to daily habits, would be The Score Takes Care of Itself, which is by football coach Bill Walsh, for any 49ers fans from the 80s. The 80-20 Principle by Richard Cook. That is an amazing, amazing book. And then getting back to the daily habit stuff, The Power of Full Engagement by Jim Lohr and Tony Schwartz. That is one of the best books I've ever read, and I cannot recommend that one enough. If you read The One Thing by Gary Keller, there's two books you need to read that further and really lay the foundation for that book, and one of them is The Power of Full Engagement, the other is the 80-20 Principle. So once you get past The One Thing, go deeper and go get those two books, because that's really the foundation of what Gary Keller talks about, and the principles that are in that book are more fully explored in those other two books. So with that said, let's talk about daily success rituals real quick and get into what we each do, and we'll talk about let's go back to the beginning.
Well, hold on one second. I'm gonna follow up with that book. With one more book that I listened. This next book, guys, is called "Follow Your Passion, Find Your Power" by Bob Dole. It's one of the guys that was on The Secret.
Bob Dole.
Yeah. It's not a political conversation.
Yeah, let's just clarify that.
Well, a dyslexic, man. Give me a break. This is live, remember? Don't embarrass me in front of my friends.
I just want to clarify that it's not Senator Bob Dole that wrote this book. You're not a huge fan of the Republican Party,
Next we're going to talk. Never mind. We're not going to. I'm not.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyways, yeah, that book, I literally listened to it for a year straight in my car, to the point where my CD player actually started acting up because I used it so much. That book, every single time I listened to it, I got something new out of it. It is an incredibly powerful book about just being able to understand yourself and a lot of other aspects of life. So if you guys are struggling with a certain part of your life or something like that, that you just kind of need to clearing out some energy, some stuff that's bothering you, listen and read this book. It's not hard. It's a little 4-hour book, so you can listen to it many, many times very, very quickly. So anyways, that's my little super tidbit that I loved.
Cool. All right. So I did not expect to get to the recommended books. We might talk about that a little bit more towards the end of the show, but let's talk about just success and mediocrity a little bit. And what's the deal? What's your perspective on success? I mean, you've come up through the ranks as a real estate agent. You've been in the business for quite a long time. You didn't, this really is how you've succeeded, is coming up through this field. So, I mean, what does mediocrity mean when it comes to real estate?
Mediocrity means in anything, settling for okay, settling for I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. That's the quickest path to absolutely being just destroyed as a human being, because okay is bullshit. You have to be able to be better than okay. I was listening. God, who was I listening to? He goes, Gary Keller, One Thing, and he was talking about how that's going to be the death of you, and I refuse to be okay. I was thinking about this podcast this morning when I was getting up, and my eyes opened up about 4:30 after working a 14-hour day. I was exhausted, and my first thing I said to myself was, and I put my hands up like this. I'm like, ah! Everyone who's listening to the audio, I just did like that V, like hands above head move, and I said, today is going to be an amazing day. And I started spouting off. I'm like, I get to go work out this morning, go kick some ass and have some fun. Then I get to get cleaned up. I get to go do a CMA, which actually turned out incredibly well. They actually fed me when I was there and gave me food to go. Plus, seriously, they gave me pitas and all kinds of shit. Then they gave me this mustard stuff, dude, made out of beer. Honestly, how does that not get better on a Friday morning? It's like dovetails into your weekend perfectly. Brats and mustard, okay. But then I got to come out. I got to talk with my buddy Toby Salgado from Super Agents Live. We did our first blab together. Now I'm here hanging out with you guys. Then I have more meetings. Then I have another CMA. It's just that I refuse to have a bad day. That is one of my morning rituals. I refuse to make a day bad. I don't care what's going on. I will spin it to be good. Now, of course, you're going to have some shit days every once in a while. That's just going to happen. But if you can take it and spin it and look at it on the bright side, look at that silver lining. And if anyone's looking at me or listening to me going, Greg, you're full of shit. There are some days I just can't put a silver lining on. Yeah, you're right. But you have a choice what you can do with the rest of your life. Okay. I've had times in my life that were the worst of my life, and I didn't want to ever get up and move again. And it nearly took me down. And it was rough, man. It came close, but I had friends and family to support me, and they showed me that there are good days. And so that's one of the things, to answer your question, long way around apparently, about one of the things that I do. I get up, I start thanking my everything that's positive in my life. I go work out, get a good breakfast, get into work, and I keep cranking. But meditation. Get in there and do some meditation, do some writing like you and I have talked about before. Do something like that to kind of clear and center yourself in the morning. Write down what you're going to do the next day, the night before, and review that in the morning when you're getting dressed. Those are a few of the things that I do, and they're small, but they're incredibly impactful. Matt, what do you now? I know you and I share similar mindsets on this, but what are some of the things that you do, in the mornings?
Well, so I have a morning ritual that I developed. I've been tinkering with over the years, but I really kind of perfected it last fall and into the winter. So I've gotten away from it a little bit over the summer here, when the hours change and you start working earlier and stuff like that. But probably the best, when I felt the best about my morning ritual, I had kind of the same thing that I would do every day, right? So I would get up, and kind of like you, I would immediately I had a certain phrase that I would say every morning, that as soon as I woke up, I would say that particular phrase. I don't remember, it was something different. It's always changing. But for a while there, I was. What's that?
I was just going to call you up and be like, so Matt, what's your phrase?
Yeah, exactly. I think it was more like a prayer. So it was like a 1 or 2 sentence prayer. But anyway, so I'd say kind of the same thing to myself every day. Just, thank you for this day, that I get the opportunity, help me be my best today. I think that was the general gist of it. But I would get up, so I'd shower, start cooking breakfast, and then I would journal. So I would write down, and I had kind of a few questions that I was always thinking about, or that I do think about in the mornings, and I don't answer them every single morning in my journal. A lot of times the journal is just to kind of get whatever's like rattling around in your mind, get it out onto paper so that it's not clouding your thinking and clouding your judgment. So, but a few of the questions that I will ask in general in the mornings would be, what am I excited about today? Which is, focusing on the positive things that I have on the schedule for that day. What's my one thing for today? What's something that I could do today that would move my life forward? And then how can I build happiness into my day? Okay. So one of those things, like how can I build happiness? So let's say I'm looking at a day that's just like, it's a bunch of stuff I'm not looking forward to. Well, so like
this morning, or before we got on, I'm like, dude, how's your day, man? You were a little bit kind of bummed on, you explained to me something that's kind of bumming you out, so how are you going to make that happy?
Well, what I'm going to do is, when I'm attacking that and fixing that issue, which is an issue with one of my websites, it's apparently been hacked or something. So whoever's listening that did that, thanks for that. I appreciate that.
You made Matt's day, by the way.
But one of those things, like, for example, that's the process of figuring out that and rebuilding the website. That's okay. That's going to suck. I mean, you're basically going over and redoing work that's already done. Nobody likes to do that. I'm someone that wants to relentlessly move forward. When I take a walk, I don't want to retrace my steps. I will go farther to go around a block to not go backwards and retrace my steps, and that is not a joke. I hate going backwards, and I hate redoing work that's already done. I always want to move forward.
Just a walk.
Yeah, even just a walk. I will go around a block rather than go the same exact distance there and back. So anyway, but while I'm redoing this work that has already been done, and I'm going to slough off as much as I can onto our assistant as humanly possible, but the stuff that I have to do myself, I will probably go to a coffee shop if at all possible.
Matt is addicted
I'll put myself in an environment where I enjoy being, right? I'll get myself a cup of coffee, which I definitely enjoy. For anybody that knows me, Starbucks gift cards are much appreciated. And then the third thing I will do is I will put on music that I enjoy for whatever I'm in the mood for there. Now, this time it may be like Alice in Chains. It may be some angrier music, but whatever it is, helps me enjoy that time as much as humanly possible, and then I'll probably give myself a reward for getting that job done correctly, whatever that is. So if it's like, if it's a cheat day, I'll reward myself with a good, a cheeseburger and fries or pizza or something I wouldn't normally eat. So those are just a couple of examples of how I might build happiness into my day if I know I'm staring down the barrel of something I don't want to do.
Yeah, it's all about those small rewards. A while back, God, about a year and a half, no, a little over 2 years ago now. I was wearing just a normal dress shirt, right? And I was very proud of it. It was my first shirt with cufflinks, French cuffs, and I had ordered it out of a magazine I saw on a plane. I'm like, oh well, I can't go wrong. That's $20 for a shirt. I mean, sweet. And Catherine, who used to be on our team, she started selling custom shirts, which is everything you guys see. I only wear custom shirts because in America, if you're tall, you have to be wide, which everything is built wide. So it looked like everything I was wearing like a circus tent, right? Tucking in everything everywhere, and everything was popping out. You look funny because you're always tucking everything back in. And so Catherine,
a circus tent. That's a very, very visceral. That's a very good analogy. I like it.
Oh. You should have seen me. You would have been like, "Oh, circus tent. Yeah, it definitely looks like a circus tent."
Got some muffin top going on.
I had shirt muffin top. It was horrible.
I believe you.
I wasn't fat though. Anyways, but Catherine, she was selling me J. Hilborn custom shirts, and so my reward, like you had to reward your cheeseburger, right, on something that you didn't want to do. For me, every deal that the team closed, I'd buy myself one shirt. Okay. And it was that little prize at the end that, I was excited that I could actually look good wearing a dress shirt that actually fit me, custom to my body, not just something off the rack. But it was also mentally one of those successes. Like, yes, I'm achieving our goals, or we're one step closer to our goals as a team for the year. It was just one of those little benchmarks and one of those notches in a belt, per se. And it really helped me a lot with just moving forward through my day, because she would come in every once in a while, and she would sit here with all the different fabrics, and she would pick out my cuffs, my collars, my shirt, my buttons, all of this stuff, and I'd be excited to get that next shirt. So to get it, I had to work harder. Okay, so any of you out there that are trying to find something that is that carrot, go find it. I mean, I've moved on to watches a little bit. Anyone can't see this. I'm starting to have a slight problem with an obsession with watches. But it's a nugget. I haven't rewarded myself all year, guys. I bought 4 shirts and I've bought like 6 watches in the last couple of weeks. By the way, Overstock, guys, is absolutely the best place on planet Earth to buy anything. I got a $1,200 watch for $150.
Nice.
Yeah, you cannot beat this stuff. But that's my point. You don't have to pay retail for this stuff. Go find the deals. Go reward yourself in the ways that you want to do it, because the personal and daily habits are going to reflect what that goal is. So if it's something that you truly want and desire, you're going to build it into your daily schedule. And I think we need to talk about time blocking at some point today, Matt, as well. That you will make it a priority. Who was it? Tony Robbins was saying that, or actually I have it up on my wall somewhere, but it says, you rarely achieve your shoulds, you always achieve your musts. Mm-hmm. So make your should a must. Oh, well, I should make those extra 50 calls. I must make those extra 50 calls, or my kids aren't going to have a private school to go to. My wife's car is going to get repossessed. The mortgage bankers are going to come take my house away. Obviously those are extremes, but those are realities for people who slough off a lot and don't do the work that they need to get done. So right now, if you are listening to this, because you can hear my voice, but when you're listening to this, think in your mind, get a piece of paper out, write down a goal, a dream, a desire that you have. It can be as big or as small as you want. All right. But write it down and have them set up, have small daily goals, have monthly, have deal goals, have end of the year goals, have vacation goals, but build in the steps, how to get to each one of those. And your day is going to become incredibly full, because it's not going to be just shit, I got to go to freaking work on Monday. It's going to be like, I get to go to stinking work on Monday, because this is just another day before my next vacation, because you schedule your vacations, you schedule your rewards. So every day that's not one, that's just another day that's right between them. So you're always having something to look forward to.
Yeah, that's something I read in a Dan Kennedy book here just in the last year, is the successful people build in their vacations first and then work around their vacations.
Yeah, you work around your vacations and you stick to them, because they are a needed part of someone's life. I mean, you can't go around like me, hasn't had a vacation, and honest, like go on a trip, get out of town, pack a bag for more than like overnight vacation in almost 7 years.
Good Lord.
I know I suck.
Yeah, we're gonna have to fix that.
Yeah, we will. But I also love what I do. So it's not really like it's torture for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got an amazing team. By the way, any of you guys watching this, everybody say hi to Chris. Chris, wave. Say hello. This is Chris. He's been my business partner for 16 years. Been a friend of mine. I got to harass him when I was younger. He was my youth group leader. And I still harass him now in business. Poor guy. Anyways, I digress. Matt, back to you.
All right. So, well, let's talk about time blocking. So, here's one of the things I've noticed just in watching group meetings with agents. You know, like Jeff Cohn. I've checked out his office where he meets with his 30 agents every Monday morning, and they talk about what they accomplished the previous week. And then Greg, you and I are running that prospecting experiment. So we're doing a group call with about 10 agents every Monday night, just to help people stay on track with their progress and just see what kind of challenges people have. And so a lot of times it comes back to time blocking, right? So when you're talking about making, whether it's calls or just doing anything that, let's say, generates business, whether it's whether that's blogging for you, whether that's getting out to a networking event, whether that's making calls, putting your postcards together, whatever prospecting activities it is that's going to bring you the next piece of business or a deal 3 months or 6 months from now, that seems to be the part that most people have the most trouble with because it's not urgent. And that's where the time blocking comes in. The problem that I see with the time blocking is people will set the time blocks, but they don't really commit to them up front. And then when they actually get to the point where they see that little calendar reminder up that, hey, it's time to make your prospecting calls, or it's time to put that postcard together, or whatever they're doing at that moment just keeps right on going, and they don't honor the time block, right?
Yeah.
So it's the time blocking thing. While it's great to, and what I used to do is I would set. I mean, now I kind of do it at the beginning of every day. I used to do it like on Sunday night, and maybe I need to get back to this, but I would look through my week and I would look through the things that were already blocked out, right? The things that were pre-scheduled from before. And then I would look at those other blocks of time that were free, and I would just see, okay, well, what's the projects that I want to work on? And I would start blocking those things out. Right now, I have a system where I have I'll kind of write down my weekly projects that I want to get done on a piece of paper, and I will, those are the things that I work on during whatever downtimes come up during the day. I think, Greg, that's kind of more of your approach too.
Yeah.
I learned that from Frank Klezos, the CEO of Viral Marketing, when I worked for him in San Diego for a while. That's his approach too. Super simple. I think he actually might have got that from Michael Masterson, that wrote The Pledge and a bunch of other books. Very similar. So Michael Masterson will go through, he'll write down the projects that he wants to do for that week along with time estimates. So like if he thinks it'll take him 30 minutes, he'll write it down. If he thinks it'll take him 2 hours, he'll write that down. And then he'll kind of mentally figure out and note down when he's starting to get off on his estimates. So the more you think about that, you can look at your list of weekly things you want to get accomplished and go, okay, well, that really, I only have about 10 hours of things here on my list. I should be able to do that. And it helps you mentally prepare yourself for the week and go, I can get this stuff accomplished. And then that's how you kind of fill up that white space in between appointments, in between prospecting sessions and stuff like that.
Well, if you're not, I mean, if you have downtime or anything else, I mean, you guys need to be prospecting like it's nobody's business. If you got free time, you better be prospecting if you don't have any business, okay? And there, I got Brandon Burchard. I got an email from him the other day, and I got a one-page goal sheet that I'll flip over to Matt and we'll put up somewhere that talks about how to kind of break out and identify the 3 people you need in, what are your goals, your first and second, and time frames, and what you need to accomplish them. I do this a lot just when I'm doodling and sitting at home watching TV or whatever else. I start writing out goals and start kind of putting them together. Most people call it a mind map. I don't really do much mind mapping. I try to break it out logically, but who really knows what it actually is? It's just Gregism. But
and really, illegible, by the way.
Oh, very illegible. It's chicken scratch on a good day. But with the Gregism, Matt, I actually look back at one of my older yellow pads that I know I am not nesting like a hobbit this time, as you would call it, with all my yellow pads around me. But I went back and I looked at one of my charts going down, and you and I are directly on path for what I wrote down months and months and months and months ago, before this podcast was really even anything. And a lot of the things that you and I have in the hopper that we haven't talked about yet, are on that list in the exact progression of what I
think I
wrote
remember
down.
what list you're talking about. It was when we first started working together on this business. It was kind of the outline of how things would go and all the different elements of the business, right?
Yeah, exactly. I also every morning, guys, I get up when I'm in my shower. I heard this from the COO of Zillow when I was at Tom Ferry's event 2 years ago. He got up there and he was talking about his BHAG, Big Hairy Audacious Goal. Okay, your BHAG. No idea what that meant. But he said he had a certain BHAG, and he to remind himself about it, he took his wife's lipstick and he wrote it right under his shower head. So he saw it and read it every morning. So I'm like, well, that's a hell of an idea. So I went out and bought lipstick, which by the guy, being a guy and buying lipstick, you get some really funny looks. Just gonna say that. So I had to preference, like when I bought this, I'm like, yeah, my girlfriend sent me down. Is this the right stuff? Because I felt like a fool. Anyways, so I bought lipstick. That's gonna be like on my epitaph. Greg bought lipstick.
It is now. I'll make sure of it. I'm gonna live forever just to do that.
Gonna be on my lower third next time.
That's right.
But I bought it and I wrote it in my shower. And my BHAG is quite lofty. It says Greg McDaniel's net worth is $650 million with more than $100 million in cash at all times. Now, a BHAG is supposed to scare the living shit out of you. Okay. And that does. It made my palms sweat, feet itch, the whole thing, hair on the back of the neck stand up. Yeah, because I have no idea how I'm going to get there, guys. I honestly don't, but it doesn't matter because all I have to do is claim that it's mine. The universe will get out of your way. As soon as you just make a decision to do something and stick to it, the universe will open up and it will show you the way. I made a decision one day, several years ago, back in 2013, or was it in 2012? I just said to myself, I'm going to be on TV. And that's about it, right? About 3 weeks later, I get an email from a guy named Rob Black, who has a TV show on a local news station called Cron 4 here, and he's got a huge following in the business realm. He emails me and goes, hey, Greg, you want to be on my show? Out of the blue. I also wrote on my wall, I didn't write this on my shower wall, but I repeat this to myself every day when I'm in the shower. I, Greg McDaniel, star in and have an award-winning, chart-topping, break-out-of-the-box success radio show that influences and inspires tens of millions of people on a monthly basis. I, Greg McDaniel, have an award-winning, chart-topping, break-out-of-the-box success podcast that influences, educates, and entertains tens of millions of people on a monthly basis. My annual revenue income is $50 million. Again, Matt, we're doing good for a lot of folks. And Brian, hey man, I want to shoot a quick shout out to you, man. Thanks for hitting me up on Facebook and giving me the encouraging words this morning. We will definitely keep it coming. I love hearing that stuff. I know Matt likes to see that stuff. So, thanks for that. But that really definitely touched me this morning. But those are some of my things that I do on a morning basis. I also review my goals, guys. Do you know that you're 95% likely to achieve your goals if you review them weekly and or daily? I carry around my goal book, and of course the day that I do a morning ritual podcast, I don't have it with me. Matt's showing you his right there. You guys, I flip through them, I add to them, I write on them, I look at them. If I'm in traffic, I'm waiting for an appointment. If I'm just bored, I will review them really quickly. It is scary, guys. It is truly scary on how accurate these are becoming true and how they're starting to become really tangible in my life. So if you have if you're going to jump out of a plane to go skydiving and you have a 95% chance of making it to the ground, would you do a certain action? Or if you had a goal that you want to do in business and you have a 95% chance of achieving it, like being worth $650 million, would you review your goals? I view 10 to 15 minutes a day as a pretty good investment. So please, guys, that's some of the stuff that I love to do, and I encourage you guys to do it. If you guys are doing it now, share it with us, talk with us, call us, email, Facebook, whatever. Matt and I would love to hear what you guys are doing.
Absolutely. So, and like Greg said, I was just flipping through mine because I've got it here. So I'll go through this. This is something I made up a couple of years ago, and it's got key questions on it. It's got my own personal goals, everything from musical, spiritual, marketing, diet and exercise, stuff like that, to things that I will not do, such as I will not work on any project that is unrelated to my life goals. I will not accumulate possessions that complicate my life and limit my ability to travel or relocate freely. So just some of like the personal, I guess, maxims or rules that that I live by are in that, as well as some key questions that I will ask myself from time to time just to get my get my thoughts going are in the back of that. Some of them I ask in the morning, like the ones that I already mentioned, like how to move my life forward and things like that. But I wanted to talk a little bit real quick about success rituals, and that's one of the things that the book, The Powerful Engagement, is really, really good about, is how to build rituals into your life that propel you to success. And so the morning ritual is part of that. And then I have like an afternoon ritual. So for me, it's coffee. Everything is built around.
I was just gonna say Starbucks,
going
Matt.
to Starbucks, yeah. And whether I can get there or not, that's like if I can't sit there and actually work, it's still part of my rituals to go and get. And literally, it's the same thing every single time because that's part of the trigger, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
it is.
yeah, so it's not just a hey, I need a caffeine infusion, although I do. It's and for me, like I know just based on experience, I know I'm my sharpest from about 7 or 8 a.m. to noon. So that's when I do the bulk of my work. Then I take a lunch break. I cook a healthy lunch for the most part. Eat at home. Get back to work around 1:30. And this is something that Frank taught me at Viral, is that he usually gets out of the office. So he'll do the same thing, 7 a.m. to 11 or noon. He usually gets out of the office for an hour or two. Sometimes he'll go home, play with the baby, play with the dog, take a walk, whatever the case is. That's something I learned from him, was to completely disconnect mentally in the middle of the day. And then I would get back to work, and then when my energy starts to take a nosedive in the afternoon, like a lot of us do, that's when I will hit Starbucks and get that. And that's not just a physical thing; it's also a mental trigger that I still have a couple more good hours in me, and here's how I'm going to make it through that. So it resets me mentally. So I change settings. A lot of times I'll go from, I work from home, so I'll get out of the house, go to a Starbucks, get around people. It's bustling a little bit. It's a different setting, and it kind of reawakens your mind, right? So that's a change of settings and rituals and all that stuff. But the reason that I do it the same way every single time is I want that trigger effect, right? Same thing with the mornings. Like I want to, get up, get in the shower, review the goals, journal, go over my time blocks for that day. Like I stack all those habits in a sequential order in the same way and do them the same way every time. And then I'll end off with a gratitude journal, like where I do 5 things that I'm thankful for that day, which is an amazing exercise, by the way.
Oh, it's fantastic. It is so much fun. If everyone sits there and goes, oh, wow, I have nothing to be thankful for, my life sucks. Bullshit. Okay. Yeah. You're breathing, aren't you? You can hear, you have sight. You're above ground. You might be broke as a joke, but that gives you the, so people look at it and be like, I'm so broke, I can't do anything. That
broke as a joke in America is luxury to everywhere else.
Luxury. But look, don't say you're broke. You have an opportunity to overcome a financial hurdle right now.
That's right.
That is what you have the opportunity to do. But Matt, I want to go back to your changing locations really quickly. So when I was, any of you guys have heard a lot of our podcasts, you guys know my story about the fact that for a couple of years there, I was doing 500 to 750 phone calls on average every day. Mm-hmm. That will melt your mind. Okay. So what I did, like Matt, I would get up, I'd have my rituals, go to the gym, come into the office, sit down, do 250 phone calls, shut off at 250. Then I would get up, I'd stretch, I would go out to my car. This would happen almost every day. And I have a subscription to a car wash here in town. Actually, it's two cities up in Walnut Creek where I live. And I would drive my car up to Walnut Creek. I would get my car cleaned, kind of make me feel good. The car's always being clean and everything. People would notice it, which was nice. And I'll sit there. They have a little Cuban restaurant attached to it, have a little lunch, wait for the car to get cleaned. Then I would roll, get back in, come back into the office. I'd feel refreshed. My mind would be going again. I would sit down and be able to do the next 250 and then do the follow-up letters and everything else. Change your scenery, guys. Why do you think the Hispanic culture, takes a siesta? It's a break. Every other country in the entire world, most of them work substantially less than the United States does, and they get a lot more done. So why don't you try it for a month? Why don't you try it for a week? Try it. Just take a break for lunch. Take an hour and a half for lunch. Mm-hmm. What's it going to hurt you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever read anything about Winston Churchill, but he did this beforehand, but even throughout World War II, he would get up, he'd work about 5 or 6 hours, and then he would take a nap, then he'd take a bath. Like he literally did the full, like he would take a couple hours nap, and then he would get up and take a bath, and then work another few hours in the evening.
Really?
Yeah,
I
through
didn't
the
know that.
entire war.
Well, he was a very clean gentleman then.
I'm sure he was. Well, it was the 40s. I don't know how clean the water was in Britain in the 40s, but he was he was very, very well rested. But I mean, it does go to show that you may think you're under too much stress to do something like that. You're probably not. Nobody was under more stress than that guy, and he took the time out to do it because it gives you the ability to make better decisions, and that's really in the society that we live in now. You're not so much judged by how many widgets you can put out, how many phone calls you can make, how many pieces of paper can cross your desk, how efficiently you check your email. It's much more about the quality of what you do and having really good ideas and then putting those ideas into practice and developing those into systems that you can have other people do. You know what I'm saying? So outsourcing. It's very, very different. And so the quality of your mental life and what goes on in your mind every day is much more important than you being busy for 10, 12, 14 hours straight.
Busy is nothing.
Yeah,
busy is a waste of time.
I mean, they say they're starting to come out with more and more studies that are showing that past about 50 hours a week, you really hit that point of diminishing returns where you don't really get any more output for working 60, 70, 80 hours a week.
There's a funny thing. The one thing with Gary Keller, there is an 87% chance of heart disease. I believe there's some nasty disease. I believe it's heart disease if you work over 55 hours a week.
Yeah,
it's the stress on everything. But I want to go back to goals here really quickly, guys. A lot of people write down the BHAG, very audacious goals. Mm-hmm. Why don't you guys go out there and write 18-month goals? That's what I did with Matt for the show. I did for myself. I review it every morning when I'm in my kitchen, looking at my fridge. I read my 18-month goals. Make them big, make them challenging. Go for the moon, go for the stars, go for that. Every cliche line you can ever imagine when it comes to something large and way out there, and you don't think you can achieve it. Every major achiever that has done something that has changed the world truly believed they could. All right. So you've got to start with that belief, which starts with writing your goals down and really understanding what you're truly doing and going for and trying to get done on a daily basis. So break it down. What do you have to do every hour, then every day, then every week, every month, every quarter, every year to achieve that long-term goal of yours, whatever it is. I mean, if you want to own an ice cream parlor in Mexico, great. You can work towards that. If you want to own a 250-foot yacht that costs $90 million that travels around the world to, luxury locations and you have your own island, great. But what is it going to take to get there? Now, you're 35% more likely to achieve your goals if you write your goals down. Okay? Now, sorry. You're 35% more likely to achieve your goals if you have goals than if you write them down. You have between 77 and 95% chance of achieving them if you write them down and review them on a daily basis. So anyone on Stitcher and iTunes, I am pointing right above my computer. It says Greg's Goals 2015. They're itemized right there.
Yeah, for anyone that hasn't been inside of Greg's office, I make the joke about the hobbit nesting because you have to understand that the wall directly behind Greg's computer, where we are all sitting and looking at him, is plastered with pictures, motivational phrases.
Oh, and it goes all the way up there.
High ceilings in that office.
So, any of you who are on
that one about mediocrity? Was it Be Afraid of Mediocrity?
Be fearful of mediocrity.
Fearful, okay, yeah.
Yeah, be fearful of mediocrity. Mediocrity is the most sure path to, being nothing, really, because it's middle road. Oh, I'm okay. I'm doing good. I'm doing great, pal. I'm really having a great year. How many deals have you done? I've done 3. Okay, that's mediocrity. The average agent, guys, does 2 to 3 deals, average income of $35,000 for the entire year. I don't know where most of you live that are watching this, but I know in the Bay Area, you make $35,000, you're not going to be doing so well. Yeah. So write it down, guys. Write your 18-month goals down. Review them on a daily basis. Identify your one thing, whatever it is, and have everything focused towards that one thing. And like my goal You know, I want to be able to be out there. This is my one thing. I want to be out there in front of tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of real estate professionals, helping them achieve their goals in a shorter amount of time at a lower budget, so that our profession can be viewed as a really good profession, not as a car salesman or, you know, ambulance chasing attorney or something that's, you know, lower level that people kind of frown on. I want to take this profession to another level where we're all viewed in good standing, because you have the proper training, the proper knowledge to go out there and assist your clients and give them the best possible advice you can. So everything I'm trying to do with the podcast, the training, my team, my corporate training, and my obsession with research, so that I can bring Matt and I can bring to you guys the newest and most interesting tech, which you guys can then put into your businesses at either a low or a zero cost. That is my one thing. I have an absolute passion for it. As you guys know, Chris and Callahan, who you guys just saw, and Terry, my father, they saved my life about a number of years ago when I begged to come back on the team, and I will always be paying it forward. So that is my one thing that I truly have a passion for, if you guys couldn't tell. You know, so write it down.
I'm looking for, we're going to do a hangout one of these times where I have you share your story. Like, we've talked about it off the air a little bit, and you have a ridiculously amazing story that blew me away. It had been a while since we talked about it originally, when you first kind of, I think when we first met, we shared a little bit of it, but it had been a while since you really talked about it, and so I'm gonna make you talk about it on air here one of these times and give people the full story, because it does explain really your motivation for why you do what you do, and it's a very, very powerful story. So
good. So I get to cry on air. Awesome.
Why not? Why not? I'll make sure that Elaine brings in like a t-shirt gun and just like stuffs it with handkerchiefs and
just lobbing handkerchiefs over my shoulder.
Yeah. Oh no, just hitting you right in the back of the head. Just wipe the tears right off your face. Let's talk about eating your frog, and what you mean by that, and how you kind of apply that to your daily routines.
So that's Brian Tracy. He has a book called Eat That Frog. Eat That Frog basically stands for eating the frog is doing the gnarliest, nastiest thing you have to do that day. That one thing you just don't want to do. Like Matt has to, as of this recording, Matt has to redo an entire website. That is his big ugly frog today. Yeah, no, Matt just put a gun to his head with his fingers and like kaboom. Because it sucks. It's not fun. It's not sexy. It's not exciting. It's laborious. It's mundane. It's just is the best word I have for it. And so, you know what? Maybe it might be doing follow-up calls for you. Maybe it might be going out and meeting someone. Maybe it might be just getting out of bed. Whatever it is, guys, for you, identify that one thing that just blows, and then go do it. Number one, because as soon as you do that, your entire day gets better, because that monkey is off your back. You don't have to deal with that anymore, and you're moving forward. So my question to you, Matt, is why haven't you eaten your frog yet?
I was eating my frog before we got on today. I already started eating the frog. So at 11, we went on at 1 p.m. my time, or at least the time where I currently reside. I started at 11 a.m. Redoing that website and worked on it for about an hour. So I am currently in the process of eating that wild, hairy, disgusting frog. Let's talk about some more interesting stuff. Let's talk about meditation a little bit, and I will share kind of what I do that I learned from that book, The Unbeatable Mind, and then we can talk, Greg, about what you do. Sure. So very, very quickly, a lot of times I'll do this first thing when I wake up, so I have that, basically get up in an attitude of gratitude. But before you physically get out of bed, I will actually just sit up in bed and then do very basic breathing exercises. Not like really true like Zen Buddhist meditation.
Like Lamaze?
Like Lamaze, yeah. It's not. No, it's not like that at all. Basically, I'm just taking a breath in, counting to 5 as I breathe in, and then you have something that you say to yourself, and then you breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You take a good slow 5 count, and then you have something that you repeat on the downswing. So for some people, it's like, you visualize inhaling white, exhaling black, inhale the clean, exhale the bad, that kind of thing. So it's along those general lines. The insight that I got from the book Unbeatable Mind that the SEALs use, which is the idea of a mantra. which as opposed to like Zen Buddha, where you're trying to like just clear out your mind completely, or you're just focusing on the breath. I think for Americans, that's very, very hard to do. We have so many things going on in our mind that trying to skip straight to the meditation where you try to have nothing going on is very, very difficult. So it's a lot more helpful, or at least it's like a shortcut way to get into meditation, is rather than trying to have nothing going on and just focusing on your breathing, is to have a specific phrase that you say at the top and bottom of your breathing. So you're focusing on that instead. And so like the military will use something like looking good, feeling good, ought to be in Hollywood, something like that. I mean, it can be something dorky. It can be something super serious. It can be something that's more meaningful. Like for me, it's more meaningful. I came up with something that it's 2 sentences long, and it means something to me. So it's, you know, something different on the upswing and on the downswing, right? So that's how I'll start the day, is sit up in bed, you know, kind of think about what I'm thankful for, and then do that breathing exercise. And then if you do that every morning, what that does is, besides just, when I first started doing that, as the more that I did it, the more I noticed that during the day my mind was calmer. It was running around a lot less. And when I get away from that, I notice that I go back to that where my mind is racing a lot more and just going from one subject to another constantly. So the more that I do that, the more and the longer that I spend, whether it's between 5 and 10 minutes in the morning usually, the more consistently that I do that, the calmer I am throughout the day and the more productive I am, because I get more things done without running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And the other benefit of that is that it builds up this it's like this mental space that you can access at other times. So when I feel like my mind is racing throughout the day, I can actually take a step back and do one of those breathing exercises, and it's a lot easier to step into that mental space, and you can almost shortcut your way there a lot faster. If you're doing it every morning, you build up that repetition, your mind gets used to what that feels like. You can then access that at other points during the day and get into that space a lot quicker.
Yeah, I am 100% on board with you on that, Matt. The breathing exercises are truly, I mean, I joked around about the Lopez thing, but the breathing exercises are honestly are truly, truly powerful. I was having a rough time with a very bad breakup a while back, and this is the one that almost took me down. A lot of people were really honestly worried about me in multiple different ways, and I had a friend of mine who was our title rep, and she saw me one day. She's like, "You are not doing well." And so she's like, "We're meeting every week." And she helped me walk me through and introduced me to a lot of these meditation styles that I'm going to talk about here for a second. And one of them was that I would sit on my couch or sit somewhere comfortable, and I would visualize breathing in white, clean through the top of my head and exhaling black out through my mouth every time. And I'd work my way all the way from my head all the way down to my toes. Now, some of you who are listening to us think we're absolutely out of our minds, you know, for doing this, but I challenge you to try this, because it's no hocus pocus, there's no crystals, there's no weird bullshit. Okay, this is just purely mental stuff. It helps you, you know, clear out your cobwebs in your mind. I can tell you one thing, guys, that I wasn't feeling so well the day that I did this, and you know, mentally, I cleared me out. I felt fantastic by the time I got done with it. So I decided to take it to the next level. So, you know, what was that book? I always forget the name of my favorite book. You shouldn't do that, but it's Follow Your Passion, Find Your Power. So I went and got that book, and I started doing, they talked about several different ways to clear energy through your body. Now, there are what they call meridian points through your body. It's an old Chinese. You can look it up. It's, again, no hocus pocus. This is just straight, you know, physiology. And there are different places that the energy gets trapped in your actual physical form. And so I started doing something called meridian tapping. Okay. Now, for the first little while, guys, I thought that it was the dumbest shit I have ever heard, because it is quite literally you tapping on different parts of your face and repeating different phrases. If you guys want to learn more about this, go onto YouTube and go find a guy named Brad Yates. He's a gentleman. He has round glasses now. He has a huge library of different tapping routines for different issues with people. I go and I sit and I do a meridian tapping series or session as much as I can. I try to do it every morning. Sometimes I just don't have time based on meetings. But the other day, I hadn't done it for like a week or so, and I'm like, God, I gotta go and just, I feel that I gotta go tap, right? I went in there, I sat on my desk in my office, and I did my tapping routine. It takes about 8 to 10 minutes, maybe. And then I kind of cleared my mind for a second, and then got it going with my day. No big deal. That day, guys, I picked up 3 listings. Okay, now coincidence, maybe, but I'll tell you one thing, I felt clean, I felt good when I got done with it. And what convinced me to try meridian tapping more than just one time is the first time I did this. This was, I don't know, a year plus ago. I'm like, okay, we'll try this one about making money and stuff, right? If we're gonna try it, let's do it. That day I picked up, and I had one of my old friends call me. She's like, hey, Greg, I know we haven't talked in like a year or something. Can we come over and list my house and help us buy another one? So I'm like, well, that's a coincidence. I want to keep the coincidences going. So I try it again. And another good thing happened in my life. You know, these things, yeah, some people kind of scoff at them, but don't. Give them a true run, guys. I laughed at them too. But I love doing these things because it makes my whole system feel really, really good. There's another one called the Sedona method. And look that up. It's just a way that you repeat certain phrases again. And it's a way that you can clear a negative energy at the exact moment that something takes place. So someone says something that hurts your feelings, someone does something to you, or anything else in life, if you follow the Sedona method, you can clear it right then, and then it's gone, and they won't carry that energy around with you. A lot of the times when people have bad days, or if they're just like in a shitty mood, it's because they're carrying around a lot of baggage. All right, you've got to learn how to release this stuff. You got to let it go. Now, if you're religious, go talk to your pastor, go talk to your priest, go talk to your spiritual, leader of whatever religion you are. And maybe that's a way for you to get around
that a little bit, but
yeah, you definitely can speak on that one.
I mean, it's as a son of a pastor, and my dad has actually been studying Kung Fu, and then that led to Tai Chi, and he's done a lot of reading on meditation and stuff like that. So, I mean, of all people, I mean, he's kind of coming around to the point that there's something to Eastern meditation, right?
Yeah.
So, and then going back and bringing up, biblical passages like, whatsoever is pure, whatsoever is lovely, whatsoever is good, think on these things. Well, that word think, if you go back to the original language, it basically means to meditate or to repeatedly think on those things. So, to my mind, and we can debate biblical theology till the cows come home, but
oh, good.
To my mind, that's a whole other podcast. But I mean, for anybody if you are religious or whatever, there's nothing that I see in the Bible that directly contradicts just the basic practical elements of meditation, and even there's biblical passages that support it in that sense of, if you dwell on nothing but the negative, you're going to be a negative person, period.
Yep.
And you're going to manifest more of those things in your life. If you dwell more on the positive, you will attract more of the positive. And that's one of the things that we're going to bring up in this particular podcast was that phrase, success is something you attract by the person you become, which is, that's it's very difficult for people to understand. And it's not just, success, definitely, but money especially is very, very odd. Money is attracted to certain types of behaviors and certain mentalities. Some people come to it naturally, and some people have to develop it over time. I'm a person that has had to develop it over time, and I'm attracting success because of the person that I've developed myself to be. Other people were that. They had that attraction when they were a teenager or in their early 20s or whatever, and so success comes to some people earlier. That's okay. We all have to, some people have just come to life with certain mindsets, or they have parents that have certain mindsets and they inherit those things. They grow up in certain environments and they're trained to think in a certain way. I mean, I was trained to think in a very analytical, logical way, and with my religious upbringing, I've had to overcome a lot of those mindsets that I came to life with, right? But they can all be overcome. So whatever you think on, you're going to attract that to yourself.
No, it's 100% true. For the longest period of time, I'll admit it, I thought real estate was stupid. I thought it was what Dad did, is what, the family, how he made money. But then I started getting into it, and I really started coming out with a much more powerful, positive attitude about it. Guys, I cannot explain to you, I honestly cannot explain to you how my business exploded as soon as I went out there going, you know, I am the most blessed human being on planet Earth. I am my own boss. I can create as much wealth as humanly possible. I can wear whatever I want to wear to work. I can work wherever I want to work. I can choose my own hours. I get to choose my own clients. You know, if I don't like a location, if I don't like something, I can change it. And I can do my same job. My office literally consists of a building, my house, my car. It could be on the streets. It could be in a coffee shop. My office is wherever I am with people. You tell me another industry that gives you so much latitude to work wherever you want, to with whoever you want, whenever you want, and make as much money as you want. Where else can you do something like that? It is the greatest gift on planet Earth to work in this business.
It's true.
I love this shit. Well, you guys know that. I just got ramped up. But yeah, it's one of those things, guys. If you don't have a passion for this thing, you better start one, because this is going to change your life, your family's life, your kids' life, and everyone else's life around you. As long as you have a good attitude and mentally prepared to make a sharking ton of cash and change a lot of lives.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You have to really find your motivation. So for Greg, you're, you know, that gets you going in the morning. You know, your Big Hairy Audacious Goal. That does 0 for me. So I have to have not just your Big Hairy Audacious Goal, but just that type of Hairy Audacious Goal. I have other goals because we're all different human beings and we all have different motivating factors, right? So you have to find whatever that is for you.
Yeah,
So
it could be family. It could be whatever. I talk to a lot of people, and they're like, when they write down their BHAGs, and the 2 girls I was sitting next to out of my office, and one was saying, well, I see myself in the future. My BHAG is being married to my current boyfriend, who is actually now her fiance. They got engaged a couple of days ago.
Nice.
Yeah, so she's on her way. You know, with him, with a baby, you know, in a house, living a life together with a moderate income that's comfortable for them. That's what really lights her up. You know, so you guys, right? Yeah, like Matt said, well, my goal doesn't light him up. Like probably his goal wouldn't light me up. I'd probably be like, snooze button. And he does the same to mine. So that's okay, but choose yours and then run with it. But be honest to yourself. Don't tailor this for someone else's viewing pleasure. All right. Yeah. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to do it because, you know, Matt, I want Matt to make sure that I want him to think that I'm achieving a lot in life. No, screw that, dude. Goals are for you. They're kind of like tattoos. They're for your own pleasure. They're you have your own reasons for getting them or doing them. Okay. Don't do it for anyone else.
That's a great analogy. Goals are like tattoos. They're just for you.
All right. Well,
I like it actually.
Never mind.
Yeah. I don't want to know where you have any tattoos.
You will never know.
No,
but there is no tramp stamp, thank God.
Okay, thank God. All right, that's good to know. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. For many reasons, before Greg gets rolling on tattoos, we're gonna wrap this episode up. I want to thank you all so much for listening. So real quick, let's run through the recommended book list. So check these out: Unbeatable Mind by Mark Divine, Follow Your Passion, Find Your Power by Bob Doyle, The Score Takes Care of Itself by Bill Walsh, Gary Keller's The One Thing, The Power of Full Engagement by Jim Lohr, and The 80-20 Principle by Richard Cook. Look them all up on Amazon. Get them on Kindle. Get them into your life somehow on Audible if you have to, but just get them. Obviously, The 4-Hour Workweek is a great one. I would throw that out there too. It's a really good one for outsourcing, eliminating, and automating, so you're not getting caught up in all the random crap of life, so that you can actually focus on the things that you should be doing that will make a huge difference and get you towards your Big Hairy Audacious Goal. As always, subscribe on YouTube.
Wait there, Killer. I get to say some books.
I gave your books. What other books do you have?
Hold on. There's another one by a Navy SEAL called No Hero by a guy named Mark Owen. He's an ex-Navy SEAL. Fantastic, talking about your 3-foot rule and what you can control in life. The Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster by Darren Hardy.
Compound Effect is another good one, especially about daily success habits by Darren Hardy.
Darren Hardy is my absolute business idol, man. That guy is doing what I want to do. Yeah. You know, then The Little Red Book of Sales by Jeffrey Gitmore is actually so packed full of good like tips and tricks on how to get leads right away or business right away, guys. I'd highly recommend listening to that thing several times with a notepad somewhere close to you. But
next month we may just have an episode where we sit down and just read The Little Book of Sales.
You know what? Why don't we just turn the podcast into a book club?
That's right. Don't tempt me because I could easily do that.
We'll just anyways,
Anyway,
continue.
all right. So subscribe on YouTube if you were like the audio version. Subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher or Stitcher, depending on whether you have an iPhone or an Apple device or an Android device. And yeah, next month we're going to be talking mostly about farming. So we've got our farming training video courses coming out. We're excited about that. And so that's going to be coming out. We're going to talk next month about a lot of the mechanics and the nuts and bolts of how to farm a neighborhood. And so keep an eye out for that. And I think that's all the announcements I have. So let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Viral Marketing again, Prime Seller Leads, and then if you want to generate buyer leads, Equity, which is run by your buddy Pierce that works there in the same office that you do. So if you, especially if you're in the Bay Area, if you're looking to generate 5 to 10 buyer leads a month, he's got a perfect program for you. It's supported by lenders, so you're not shouldering all the cost of it yourself. It's a really slick program that he's got set up. So reach out to Greg, mcdaniel.44@gmail.com if you're interested in Prime Seller Leads or Equity. And then if you're interested in viral marketing, go to getviral.com, and remember viral is with a Y. So be sure to check both of those out.
Also, guys, Toby Salgado from Super Agents Live. He and I are doing we just started our first today. We're going to do a weekly live blab. So you can do blab.im on a PC, and you can take part in the discussion, or you can go to an Apple device and download the Blab app, and you guys can come in, watch us, join us in a conversation. It's very low key. It's basically, he and I have been doing off-the-air conversations for over 1.5 years together, just mentoring each other, and we just have a blast doing it. It's just kind of a little behind the curtains looking at some of the planning that both of these Hangouts and podcasts do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Cool, man.
All right, guys, that is it for the latest episode of Real Estate Uncensored. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one.
Thanks, guys. See ya.